Do you ever find whenever you're surrounded by negative people, it's really easy for you to start being negative as well, right? It's contagious, isn't it? Especially when one person complains, you want to complain and so forth. In fact, here in London today, it's set to be one of the hottest ever days. And so you can kind of guess what the conversation was, right? You can just overhear it. Everyone's saying, oh, it's too hot. And then when it's cloudy and when it's gray, like normal weather here in England, everyone's saying, oh, it's too cold. Where's the sun? We're living in a crazy society. And that's why I want to basically share with you, how do we stop absorbing other people's negative energy? You're gonna find this extremely useful if right now you're surrounded by toxic people. So be sure to pay close attention because it comes down to these 3 fundamental steps. The first step is to either let them go if you can, or you want to limit your exposure as much as possible. Because think about it, if I want to tan up, right? What do I have to do? I simply have to step out into the sun, spend all day in the sun, right? And if you were to do that, what would happen? You would tan up as well. So what if you want to get lighter? What do you have to do? Spend most of your time away from the sun, such as indoors. So what are you doing in that moment? You're limiting your exposure. You got to do the same in terms of these toxic people. However, what you want to do when you're on your own, instead of just spending time just doing random stuff, you want to be empowering yourself as much as possible, because that will help you to balance out the toxic people you come across on a day-to-day basis. So in the morning, spend time in your morning routine just listening to empowering content. And also during lunch breaks, you want to be listening to something that's positive, uplifting, whatever it may be, because you're literally brainwashing yourself to be positive no matter what. And the evening, do the same. This is exactly what I did when I used to hang around with people who took a lot of drugs. And I was taking a lot of drugs back in the days as well because they were within my circle, right? We become who we hang around with. So what did I do when I began to come across this world of personal development? Because I couldn't let them go because they were the people who I was surrounded by on a day-to-day basis and they're very close friends, so I couldn't just let them go straight away. What I did was every morning I would just spend time empowering myself and I was limiting my exposure as much as possible until eventually I decided to relocate to a different part of England. So you really want to think about what is suitable for you right now. If you can let them go, by all means let them go. If not, limit your exposure. Number 2 is to ask better questions. Now, just before I explain this profound concept inside it, it's important you understand that people are dealing with their matters, with their situations in the best way they know how right now. Because think about it, there's been times in your life where you've been extremely negative, most likely, right? Maybe that was before you came across this world of personal development. True? Before you came across this whole world of like thinking different, thinking positive and so forth, you never knew that you could. People often ask me, why did I used to take drugs? It's because I didn't know there was any other way of living, right? That's what I was using to cope with the issues and pain I was going through in my life. That's all I knew. So realize for you to start preaching to these people and saying, hey, think different or be like this, that's not solving the problem. Because if right now you're saying to these people, you got to be more positive and so forth, that's almost like me pointing to a baby and saying, you got to be a teenager right now. You got no rights to do that. I don't have any rights to do that. Isn't that true? Everyone's on a different growth path. They're on a different growth journey. And you got to allow and give them time. And so as a great saying goes, when the student's ready, then the teacher will appear. So you want to give them time right now and not just preach to them in terms of why they got to think more positive. Instead, you got to ask better questions. What does that really mean? Remember, the quality of the questions dictate the quality of answers. If right now, the person you're speaking to is talking really negative, then switch up the subject matter. Ask a question that makes them answer in a way they're now focused away from that problematic situation that they keep on talking about and complaining about. And you want to get very good at it and notice whenever they are going back to their old ways and thinking negative, you want to just shift their focus away from that. Ask a better question. And you want to understand that what people hear from you is not as powerful as what they tell themselves and what they hear from themselves. We live in this bubble where rarely would we be open to taking on people's advice unless you're really into personal growth. Most people are living their own life and they're very stubborn. They don't want to change. And the only time we do change is when we finally decide to change. So what questions does, it gives the person space. It doesn't feel like you're forcing them to change. They are realizing it themselves through your questions that you're asking that they gotta change. And that's what coaches do essentially. But even if you're not a coach, you want to begin to look up coaching questions online and get good at it. Ask better questions. And you can help people to have a breakthrough without you preaching to them, which is the worst thing you can possibly do. There's nothing worse than trying to force somebody to grow when they don't want to grow. Isn't that true? So that's why that's the second step. Ask better questions. The third step is represent your message. If right now, every single day, you are surrounded by these negative people because of the fact that maybe they're your work colleagues, or maybe right now they are surrounding you, they're family members or what, realize this, you're most likely the one who's kind of awake whilst everybody's sleeping awake, right? They're kind of all just being negative whilst you are trying to think positive. If that's the case, realize you've been chosen to be in this situation right now. And you got to take responsibility as a leader. And remember, leaders lead by example. You want to be the most positive, uplifting person in that room. You want to show people how to react to when somebody's being negative. If right now they are always complaining to you, if you want to be an empowering leader, it doesn't make sense for you to engage that battle, right? There's a great saying, lose the battle but win the war. Show people how to react to negative circumstances. Show people how to really be, how to represent the things you believe in this personal development world. And every single day, the moment you wake up, remember, what you do behind closed doors matters more than how you are when the cameras are turned on, how you are when you're in front of other people. What you do right now, when you're on your own, that matters the most. How you're waking up in the morning, how you're motivating yourself, how you're preventing yourself from procrastinating, all of that is representing your message. So be the most consistent, most congruent person in that room, because that is how you can really train your mind to be able to deal with people's negativity. Because now you're just focused on becoming the best you can be instead of focusing on others and getting their negativity transferred to you. So every single day, show up as the most positive, uplifted person in the room, and I can guarantee that will totally transform not only your life, but other people's lives. Because one day they'll turn around and say, how are you doing that? And that's when the student is ready to learn. And so that's when you can finally teach them the concepts. I hope you found today's video helpful. Inside it, let me know in the comments box below what strategies that you currently have in terms of being able to stop absorbing other people's negative energy. You know, this will also, your advice, by the way, will help others in the comments box who will be looking at this to be able to just really handle this best. And let me know also in terms of your biggest takeaway today, because it helps you to lock it into your subconscious mind in terms of just reciting in terms of what you've just learned. And like this video if you like this video, and share this video with somebody who's got to hear this message right now, and make sure that they are ready to learn.